Have you ever wondered what the exact process is to get a VA loan? Has this ever been explained to you? Well, in today's video, I'm going to give you my 7 main steps to getting a VA loan. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Rick Elmendorf. I'm a loan officer and I specialize in VA loans. So let's get started. Step number 1, I always believe this is the first step with anything, is to know your numbers. So many people coming to me and they're like looking online at Zillow and they're finding homes and it's just like, well, do you even know how much this is going to cost you? The online calculators, they're absolutely horrible. One of the things I made was a spreadsheet to kind of give you an idea of what this looks like. If you want a free copy of the spreadsheet, no strings attached, in the description, there's going to be a link here. It's a simple Google sheet that you can just plug in the numbers and check rates, and basically you can see things like your exact numbers to closing, cash to close, payments, different scenarios and whatnot. But I just really wanted to get the point across. The online calculators are not something you should be using. Some of the things that it completely misrepresents is, well, first of all, you don't really know what the rates are. You don't know what the total closing costs are. Are there points? No points? You can't really go off of what the average rate is in the country because there's just too many variables. And it messes up the payment. Doesn't calculate the taxes right, doesn't calculate mortgage insurance right, especially if you're trying to buy in Florida where insurance rates vary widely from home to home. And then of course you've got homestead. Anyways, just don't use the online calculators. It's kind of a mess. Number 2 is setting your goals. Knowing your goals, getting pre-approved based on your goals. Pre-approval is different than pre-qualifying. Pre-qualifying is basically you just over the phone or online, you just give your information to somebody and they kind of just send you a letter. If you actually look at the letter of pre-qualification they send you, it's going to be pretty weak and it's not going to do very good if you're making offers. What you need is a pre-approval to know what your actual buying power is. And by the way, don't let anybody do a hard credit pull during the pre-approval process. There's ways to do pre-approval, full pre-approvals with a soft credit pull. But again, get the full pre-approval done. That means the lender's looking at your income, your assets, and these are all good things to know, your full thing, your credit. And if your credit is not that great, that's okay. Credit can be manipulated. It can be repaired. That's okay. We're going to start with a goal. This is the type of house I want to get. I don't care about your credit. I don't care about you don't have money. I don't care about any of that. We're in the planning stages now. So you have a goal, let's meet the goal. Obviously, in order to be pre-approved before you move on to the next step, you're going to want to make application with a lender. I think it's a good question to ask the lender up front is, do you do soft credit pulls or do you do a hard credit pull? If you do a hard credit pull, you should say bye. It's unnecessary. Anyway, moving on. So you want to go ahead and get that application done and complete all the documents and send your financial documents to your lender. Okay, step 3 is actually have a detailed strategy call. You can't really have a good call as to what's really going on without the lender seeing everything. I mean, there's some circumstances where, hey, I'm pretty easy. I'm an 04 with, over 16 years and I'm looking to buy a 650 house. And, I already know what you make because an 04 was over 16. And it's easy. I don't have any debt. Sometimes it's just cookie cutter. But for the mass majority, you'll want to submit an application, get the pre-approval documents in, and have a detailed strategy call. Based on your numbers, based on your approval, our process is when the application comes in, we typically will do numbers and we do side-by-side numbers so you can kind of see a few different options, rate and point. And then we send the qualification letter immediately. We work on getting the documents to be able to upgrade that to a pre-approval letter. And there's a whole bunch of nuances there. I won't get into that. But the very next step is to have a detailed strategy call. This could be 15 minutes. This could be an hour. This is about connecting with your lender and discussing all the goals, all your thoughts. Maybe you have some quirky things that you need to discuss and you have questions on. But this is the time where you just literally lay it all out and you get a plan together. Now, your plan may include, hey, I don't like the rates today. So maybe you're talking about temporary buy down solutions like 3% lower, which is a 3-2-1 buy down. By the way, side note, I wrote a book actually on 3% lower. You can click the link in the description. Happy to send you a free copy. But on this strategy call, I like to look at, is this well within your qualifications? What are we using for assets? Where is it coming from? Do we really want to touch retirement assets? Or the question maybe is, I'm getting a VA loan. I was thinking about putting no money down. I don't have a disability rating. Therefore, I'm going to have the funding fee and it's going to be higher because I have a what's called a subsequent use. But I have this pretty nice 401k over here. Well, that might be a really good time to dip into the 401k to get 5% down to avoid that second time use, subsequent use, which can save you thousands of dollars and well worth it. So these are some of the things we discuss. So stalking through strategy is really important. You need to have a good strategy call with a good loan officer that knows VA. And then that loan officer needs to be discussing that strategy call with your buyer agent. Really important stuff. Step number 4 is go ahead and get all of your documents in. This is the piece of the puzzle where you are upgrading from pre-qualification to pre-approval. And it is really important to verify. When you make offers on a house, the listing agents are going to call the loan officer. It's going to happen. So when your loan officer is on the phone, that listing agent should be asking, "Hi, my name's Mary. I got your offer. Thank you so much." And hopefully your loan officer is good enough where they're calling ahead of that real estate agent trying to track them down. But that's a side note. So the listing agent is going to ask, have you seen all of the income and asset documents? And is there going to be any problem? Please don't make your loan officer lie. Get in the documents. Make sure that they've seen them and reviewed them. It's very easy nowadays. Everything is uploaded via a secure portal. You can do it literally the same day you apply. Another piece in this step 4, when you're uploading documents, this is the time where you maybe can fix your credit score. Step number 5 is make aggressive offers. Make as aggressive an offer as possible that feels right. And this just goes back to the strategy. If you know that you can go to 750 and that's a comfortable, and this house is 720 and you know it's going to be competitive, then there's no reason why not, if you love the house, to escalate up to that number, right? So there's a lot of ways to win these offers. Step 6 is the loan process. And I wanted to kind of discuss this piece of the puzzle because loan process actually starts once you have a ratified contract. You've actually technically not made formal application with a lender until they put in a property address. And now you've met all of the number of RESPA required information that the lender has, and now it's considered an application. At this point, when you have a ratified contract, you need to go to your lender and say, "Hi, I have this price. This is how much seller concessions I'm getting if I am. This is my earnest money," and just send them a copy of the contract. At that point, you should, and the way I do it on my team is you get a high rate, middle rate, and low rate. And obviously this process would have already been discussed on the strategy call. So then you pick the rate, you lock in the rate, and then you're getting set for your first package of federal disclosures. And you can get those in your email. It's very simple. You DocuSign them. There's 2 important documents in there. One is the loan estimate, and that should mirror a lot of the documents you've been seeing. Like most of the things you've received up until this point is either maybe a spreadsheet or what's called a loan summary. The second biggest document that you're going to get in that package is what's called an intent to proceed. This is the biggest part of the process. If you don't sign that, the lender can't do anything. Nothing happens. You can't go to underwriting. The appraisal can't be ordered. I mean, you need to sign that document. Super important. Next on the docket, and a lot of these things happen in tandem as they're going, like on the real estate side, you're going to be having a home inspection. This is different from an appraisal. And they go do an inspection of the property and they compare it to recent sales and they come up with a value, what's called the lender's notification of value. That's what they deliver back to the lender. So next is underwriting. Once you have your documents in and you've updated maybe a little of this or a little of that, it goes into processing and into submitted to the underwriting. In my process, typically we have one person that is the processor and underwriter, a front end person that kind of gathers all the documents. Maybe that's a loan officer assistant. They send it into underwriting. Underwriting approves it. Then it gets shipped back out to your processor, who then works with you to clear all the conditions. But once underwriting stamps their approval, there's going to be a condition sheet. And this is where, good lenders are going to not ask you for stuff that they don't need to. That whole underwriting piece, conditions gathering, is a very quick process. Just be quick to respond to your lender. But at this point, typically the ICD, or what we call the initial closing disclosure, is submitted to you, the borrower. This is required 3 business days prior to your loan closing. And this is a date that you just can't miss. If your lender misses that date, you don't close on time. So it's really, really important that you have that done way ahead of time. The numbers on the initial closing disclosure, or ICD, are supposed to be the final numbers, but there are a lot of numbers that could increase or decrease your cash to close. And step 7 is the actual day of closing. Prior to going to closing, at least a day before, you're going to want to arrange the money piece with the title company. But on the day of closing, you're going to be signing a lot of documents. Some companies, however, like mine, sends you documents ahead of time so you can see everything you're signing. And they call this process a flash close. So you're getting documents that you're going to see that you can actually e-sign. Anyways, just make sure that you're communicating with your lender if you've chosen any sort of a flash close process, that you get those done and you sign those the morning of your closing before you go there. Now, one caveat to all of this: when you speed up a closing, you're taking the same amount of stuff and you're just condensing it into a shorter period of time. It gets a little messy. So just be patient with your lender. If you have to shorten the closing date under 2 weeks, just know that you may not have any hair after this process. Unless you're like me, you don't really care. But just know that your lender is going to be really having to burn the midnight oil and get a lot of people in line to make a closing happen in less than 2 weeks. If this was helpful, hopefully you found it helpful. And if anything I've said here is just then no problem. You can leave a comment. I do respond to those. Please like and subscribe if you haven't. It's free and it does help out the algorithm. This is Rick, and I'll see you in the next video.